Malky, you've just been named as the new Scottish FA Performance Director. What attracted you to this particular role?
I think the chance to be involved in shaping the next generation of Scottish players is a huge opportunity, and one that I don't take lightly, and one that I'm desperate to be involved in going forward.
What qualities do you think that you'll bring to this position?
I think I've got quite a broad array of qualities in terms of having played at the bottom level in Scotland with Queen's Park, played at the top level, managed to be a player that got the pathway through to professional football to Celtic. I've been a manager in England, I've played in England, but stood in the manager's shoes and actually seen what the decisions that managers have got to have in terms of young players are concerned. I've been involved in academies. Our academy at Harefield School at Watford was the forerunner and the flagship for the EPPP in England. It was the one that was used to roll out in the whole of England, and it's the one that I invited Chris McCart and Neil McIntosh down from Celtic and Scottish FA to come and look at, so that and they brought it back up and lifted it, and that's really what the 7 regional schools here are actually based on. So I was heavily involved in the actual setting up of that. So a broader range of skill set.
And in terms of your expectations of this role, where are you going to be based and what do you think your day-to-day duties will be?
I'll be based through at the Oriam, which we're going through today to see. I believe it's a magnificent facility, so I want that to end up being a nerve centre for the Scottish FA, and somewhere that players are proud to come and proud to work at and want to be there. So I'm going to be based there day to day. My day-to-day job will be to make sure I get around as many of Scotland's stakeholders, whether that be clubs, heads of youth, directors, chairmen, owners, our regional schools, and our international teams and their players, and just basically try and be involved in helping raise standards all across the game in Scotland.
You've got close relationships with a number of the managers at the top clubs in Scotland, including Mark Warburton of Rangers, Brendan Rodgers of Celtic and Derek McInnes of Aberdeen. How beneficial will that be when you're going in and to deal with them, and what will you be looking to get from them when you go and speak to them?
Yeah, I think relationships is a key word in terms of any industry you're in, and I think it's about making sure that there is genuine mutual interest there. And I think what I've got to do is go in and find out from all clubs what their actual need is, and see if we can actually help as far as that's concerned, because both at the end of the day, they want good players, we want good players, we want players to come through into the national teams, and I think at all levels, at Celtic and Rangers especially, be it youth with Chris McCart and Craig Mulholland, the managers that I know well, and Brendan and Mark, and at director level I know people as well. So I think it's important that that's something that I actually go and talk to these people. As I said, been up to see Derek McInnes already, and I'm going to make sure that I get around every club in Scotland.
You've managed Watford, Cardiff City and Wigan Athletic, and then in the last few years you've been studying management techniques at a number of different clubs around the world. What have you learned that you can apply to this job here? Lots
of things actually. Different cultures in terms of different sport environments. I've been to see football clubs in Scotland, England, France, Germany and in Spain. But further afield, I've gone over to America to study some of the coaches over there, both in terms of MLS, but also more importantly in terms of ice hockey and also American football, and probably the American football. The culture of the training environment I was in there is something that was really encapsulated, and something that I think that I can bring back little things from all of those to actually help in terms of this role and the ongoing education of our Scottish players.
Previously, Mark Votta and Brian McClare were the performance directors. What have you made of the existing work done by them, and how do you plan to sort of build on that?
I think there's some fabulous work done by both gentlemen, and that, along with the last 7 months' work of Project Brave, where owners, chief executives and heads of youth from various clubs in Scotland have been involved in, have meant that there's a kind of bold and brave, to pardon the pun, challenge ahead of us, but there's a plan there, and I'll look at it, I'll study it, and it might need tweaked, but it's something that I want to implement and drive through and make sure that we improve as a country at all different aspects, whether that be at the schools, at the academies, our coach education in terms of educating and mentoring our coaches that are out in the clubs. I think we do a fabulous job here in terms of Jim Fleet's coach education department. We've got a reputation Europe-wide for having good courses for coaches, and I think our CPD is very good. I think with that, going on from that, I think that we need to mentor our coaches so that we have young, hungry, elite coaches out there, and that can only help our players and our clubs.
You mentioned Project Brave there. For people that maybe aren't aware of it, give us a sort of flavour of that initiative.
Well, it's about talking about a marriage between our clubs and our regional schools, making sure that there's a tighter, closer relationship in the regions between the clubs and the schools. It's about making sure that we give our young players the best possible chance they have of becoming footballers. So if we're talking about the short term, we're talking about the 17 to 21 year olds, and making sure that that pathway between 19 and 21 where the push to get into first teams is possibly where it sticks. Well, how do we combat that in terms of games programmes, in terms of challenges for those players, and loans, getting them out to clubs where they're actually going to be playing against adults and men, so that it's a softer landing into first teams. So that's a kind of the main thrust of it.
In football, before you obviously been a player and a manager, this job is slightly different. How do you think you'll adapt to that change?
I'm enjoying the challenge so far. Obviously, over the interview process, I've studied in depth a lot of parts of the role, and I think it'll be interesting because I will have the ability and the chance to go and be involved with the 16s, 17s, 19s, 21s national teams, go and talk to the coaches, go and talk to players at the schools, go into clubs and talk to coaches and managers, but also go in and talk to owners and boardrooms. So it's a wide remit, but it's one that I'm really looking forward to, and it's a good challenge.
You're certainly a student of the game because you've like written books and stuff about how football should be played and whatever. So that's certainly something that's of great interest to you. Football's
been a passion in my life since I've been 5 or 6 years old. It's really a homecoming here today. I started at Queen's Park. I've really been, half my life has been spent around about Hampden, and I think that I believe that has given me a great grounding in terms of my adverse challenge to actually become a footballer from being an amateur player and working in a bank to go and become a professional footballer, and then as you said yourself, then further my education in terms of becoming a coach and a manager. But I think it's about making sure that you're always striving to do your best, work hard, have that work ethic, but also be committed and determined to making sure that if there's tough choices to make, that you make them for the right reason. And really it's for the greater good of the footballer, and that's the most important thing here. Can we make sure that everything we decide is for the greater good of our young Scottish players coming through?
Regarding the development of the young players, you mentioned yourself obviously growing up around Hampden, something that you didn't have was the performance schools. We now have that in Scotland. What have you made of them, and what impact do you think they will have on the future generations of Scottish footballers?
I think it's huge, I really do. As I said, I first came upon it down at Watford, at our Harefield Academy, our school, and we were the first one in the country, and it's the one that all the Premier League or Category 1 in the EPPP down in England actually is based on. And I was jealous that my children weren't at this school. They weren't old enough, but had I had children at that school, I'd have been so proud of them. Not just in terms of the actual football training they were getting, but the kind of holistic approach to them being more rounded young men and women. And I think that's something that can benefit our youngsters. I think the fact that there's a whole sense of, in terms of socially, them being actually more rounded people going through this process, I think gives them a better chance in life, never mind football, because some of them are not going to be footballers. But we hope that we can push through as many of the elite players through these schools to eventually be competing against each other. So we get to elite versus elite, and can we eventually end up with a Clairefontaine of our own? Maybe it's an aspiration at the moment, but it's certainly one that I would look to.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.